The story begins in a forest in South Africa. Two forest rangers are paddling a boat on the river for their usual patrol. They are controlling a drone flying into the forest to check. After a while, it unexpectedly captured an image of someone. Then, the signal quickly cuts off. The girl's name is Gabby. Gabby wants to know about the man, so she decides to go into the forest to check. However, she is stopped by a black man. He believes the dense forest is very dangerous. Although it's getting late, Gabby is determined to go check it out. The two of them then split up. They don't know that this forest hides a terrifying secret, a place with strangers and tiny spores flying in the air. Gabby goes deeper into the forest. When she realizes it, she is lost. She tries to use the walkie-talkie to contact the black man. However, he had left the device on the boat. He can't hear her signal. Then, Gabby suddenly noticed that there seemed to be someone hiding in the bushes nearby. Suddenly, a noise startles Gabby. When she looks back, the figure is gone. She then tries to find a way out, but accidentally steps on a trap. A spear pierces through her foot. Gabby is in great pain. She struggles to pull the spear out. Her scream alerts the black man nearby. He quickly returns to the boat, but he carelessly drops the walkie-talkie in the water, rendering it useless. Meanwhile, Gabby, despite the pain, tries to walk around and find help. The sky grows darker. A strange red light emanates from the forest. Gabby then finds a house. He entered, but there was no one inside. Tired, Gabby lies down and falls asleep. Meanwhile, the black man, while searching for Gabby, accidentally falls into a swamp. He notices a creature hiding in the nearby bushes. When he escapes the swamp, he hears a rustling sound. He shines his flashlight and is horrified to see a bizarre creature approaching him. He panics and runs away. The creature chases him closely. It has a human body with a mushroom-covered head. After a while, the black man finally loses the creature. However, while hiding under a tree, a root suddenly stretches out and impales him. Meanwhile, Gabby, while sleeping, is suddenly awakened by two strange men breaking into the house. They hold knives and threaten her. The frightened girl begs. She says that she's just a forest ranger lost in the forest. The man stops when he hears this. The trap Gabby stepped on was actually set by them. The man then introduces himself as Berend. He used to be a scientist. However, after his wife passed away 13 years ago from bone cancer, he and his son moved to live in this forest. They completely cut themselves off from the outside modern world. His son, Stefan, is gentle and quiet. Having lived here since he was a child, he knows nothing about the outside human world. The two of them hunt animals and catch insects for food. Gabby feels disturbed as all the meals are raw meat. The next morning, Berend makes a strange black potion. He uses it to apply to Gabby's wound. When Gabby wakes up, she notices that her hand is covered in mushrooms. It seems like the roots are deeply embedded into her skin. Gabby wakes up in a panic and realizes it was just a dream. She then tries to contact the black man through the walkie-talkie, but all she hears is strange static. Gabby decides to start a fire to signal for help, but Berend stops her. He says that lighting a fire in this forest is very dangerous. That night, Gabby asks Berend why he stays here instead of returning to the modern world. The man says he has a special mission. It is to study a unique medicine from this forest. It can cure any disease, even the worst injuries. Berend then asks Gabby to check her wound. She is amazed when she sees that her foot, which was injured yesterday, is now completely healed. Later that night, while sleeping, Gabby is suddenly woken up by Berend. There's a knocking sound outside. It seems like something is trying to break in. He advises her to hide against the wall and remain silent. As the tension rises, a tree root suddenly stretches toward Gabby. She jumps in shock and screams. Berend rushes over to chop the root. From outside, a human-shaped creature with a head full of mushrooms bursts in. It seems to be blind and can only use its sense of smell. The creature slowly approaches Gabby. This terrifies her. Stefan sees this and rushes to stab the creature with a knife. The creature's blood splatters all over Gabby. The creature, in pain, runs away. Stefan quickly wipes the blood off Gabby's face. Berend then explains that this forest, besides having the ability to cure all diseases, it is also a forest that kills people. There is a type of tiny mushroom spore in the air here. Anyone who inhales it will be attacked by the spores. From the lungs to the eyes and the brain, the victim will slowly be transformed, until they become one of those strange creatures. The next day, Gabby met Stefan and showed him her phone. It contained images of the outside world. The young man was both shocked and fascinated. However, at that moment, Berend appeared and threw Gabby's phone away. He angrily cursed that she was poisoning his son with the outside world. Berend then took Stefan deeper into the forest, to a strange tree stump. There were many mushroom spores inside. The man placed a piece of meat in front of the tree. Then he started praying. Suddenly, mushrooms grew out of the tree stump. Berend picked them and gave them to his son. They both ate them. Meanwhile, Gabby was at home. She noticed that her hand was starting to grow the same strange mushrooms from her dream. At that moment, Berend came back and said it was time to take her out of here. Gabby said goodbye to Stefan. Although he was very sad, he couldn't do anything. On the way, Gabby accidentally discovered the black man's flashlight. She followed the trail and reached his location. The black man, at this point, had been infected by the mushroom spores. The mushrooms had grown all over his face. Despite that, somehow, he was still alive. Knowing there was no cure, the black man asked Gabby to kill him quickly. Though it was painful, Gabby had no choice but to do it. The noise alerted the creatures nearby. Berend had no choice but to take Gabby back to the house. That night, while Gabby was asleep, she had a nightmare. She woke up with a start. She noticed her foot had also started growing the scary mushrooms. Gabby then asked Berend how to cure this disease. She suspected that the man knew the antidote, because the two of them had lived here for more than 13 years and still hadn't gotten infected. However, Berend stayed silent and quickly left. The next morning, he took his son into the forest again, to the tree stump, where they performed the prayer ritual. Then he picked the mushrooms and fed them to his son. However, this time, Stefan secretly kept them in his mouth. He then went home and gave them to Gabby. It turned out that these special mushrooms were the medicine to prevent the spores. If eaten every day, they would protect against the disease. At this point, the mushrooms on Gabby's foot slowly began to disappear. In the following days, she started getting closer to Stefan. He even took her to the strange tree stump. This was the place where his mother passed away 13 years ago. Her body had now turned into a tree root, and every day, it produced special mushrooms to nourish the father and son. After understanding everything, Gabby wanted to take Stefan out of this forest and into the outside world to explore a new life. She didn't want to leave him here for life. Gabby tried to convince Berend, but he was angry and refused. He believed the outside world was too toxic and would soon collapse due to the epidemic. That night, Berend went to the tree stump to pray, as usual. However, this time, no mushrooms appeared. A strange sound came from the tree hollow. Upon hearing it, the man's face suddenly changed. The next morning, while he was away, Gabby secretly took Stefan and escaped the forest. However, they were soon discovered. Gabby tried to use force against Berend, but he used words to persuade her. He even brought up Stefan's deceased mother to change his son's mind. This caused Stefan to return home with him. Gabby had no choice but to leave alone. However, on the way, Gabby felt worried about Stefan, so she turned back. From a distance, Gabby saw them going somewhere. They then reached the tree stump. Berend made his son kneel before the tree. Then, unexpectedly, he took a knife and slashed his son's back. It turned out that he intended to offer his own son as a sacrifice to make the mushrooms grow again. At this moment, the sky suddenly turned dark. As Berend prepared to deliver the final blow, Gabby intervened. She shot him in the leg with a bow and arrow. He was injured. However, Berend rushed forward and struck Gabby hard in the face. Stefan tried to run and stop his father. The noise attracted the terrifying creatures. While Stefan struggled to hold them off, Berend brought Gabby to the tree hollow. He intended to use her as a sacrifice instead of his son. However, just as he was about to strike the final blow, Stefan suddenly stabbed him from behind, wounding him severely. The two of them then ran back home, leaving the man behind. Gabby tried to wash the blood off herself. However, it seemed like it was too late. The next morning, Berend's wounds had grown mushrooms all over. He died in pain under the tree, right next to his wife. As for Gabby, in the following days, the disease spread, causing her body to grow mushrooms all over. Before she passed away, Gabby told Stefan to leave the forest and explore the outside world. By the end of the film, only Stefan remains alive. He seems to be the only one immune to this strange disease. Stefan then went to the city. He even had a meal at a fast food restaurant. However, as soon as the young man left, the food quickly grew moss, indicating that the terrifying epidemic was about to strike human society. The movie ends here. What do you think after watching? Please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the next great films. Wishing you a happy weekend with your loved ones and family. Goodbye and see you again.